So I'm back on with the Mini, and the plan is to get the back end of the car to a point where I can start bolting everything back on and get some wheels on it so I can get it off the ramp. So I've got my carbon boot floor to go in, so all the boot floor needs to be cut out, the rear valance needs to be removed, and then I need to get the rear subframe bolted in, and I'm going to solid mount the rear subframe. So I'm going to get rid of all the rubber bushes and just make brackets so that the subframe will be solidly bolted to the car. Right, so I've cut the boot floor out. I've carefully removed these panels out of here and just really carefully ground the welds back. Removed the rear valance, drilled all the spot welds out and removed all that. Also done a bit of stitch welding around the arches. Welded up all the little holes. Also welded up all the holes in this. I've also put these little tabs on there to catch the edge of the boot floor. I think these normally would have had a piece that came out that would go underneath, and then you could bolt through this to the underside, but I think it's been cut off on this one, so I had to put some little tabs in there. So that just sits like that, and then I use the existing holes that are in it, and that just bolts in. Yeah, so I think normally the edge of this carbon boot floor would come underneath here, and then you would just bolt it all the way through. I'm pretty sure that's how I've seen them done. This piece gets removed, this piece of the rear subframe, and just gets replaced with a bar, and I'll mount that bar tight to the bottom of the boot floor, and then I'll probably make some tabs that come off of the bar so that we can bolt the tank through the carbon boot floor and then into that bar, I think, just to make sure everything's bolted together really solid. And that you can see where all the valance has been removed. Save a bit of weight there, and also this gets modified so you can adjust your ride height through the back here, so it gives you good access to get in and adjust the corner weight and ride height. So the plan for this subframe is to get rid of these completely and weld, basically just have a bracket with some bolt holes that will weld directly to this. Both sides, same here. I'm going to get rid of this rubber bush mount and just make a bracket to bolt this directly in. Oh, I'm also going to add another mounting point through here somewhere. Just this is where the inner bolt of the trailing arm comes through, and you've got like a double thickness skin there, so I'm going to make a mount that will go through both of those, through the body shell, and actually fixed to that crossbar of the roll cage to hold this really well. And then we're not just relying on these two little nuts to hold the thing in there. First thing I'm going to do is just take some measurements to make sure that the subframe's sat exactly where it should be, and that some of these bushes haven't squished and it's sort of not central or something like that. Once I'm happy with the position of it, I'm just going to weld this temporarily into position. So I'll probably just put a weld there and there. Same on the back, just put a little strap in or something, just something I can weld in place and then cut off later. And that will just hold everything where it needs to be. And then I'll remove these, I'll just do them one at a time, remove it, bolt the new bracket in and then weld to the subframe. And it should be a fairly straightforward little job, just 4 folded brackets. So you can see how much movement there is in those rubber bushes. I could just make, some solid mount bushes, but just a couple of little lightweight brackets, it means I get rid of all of these big cast brackets as well, so save a bit of weight, simplify things. Right, so I've got this tacked in place. To make sure that this is bolted in exactly level with the body, I basically unscrewed that bottom bolt there with the level measured from obviously where the ruler is there to the bolt hole in the subframe. You can see there's about a 2 mm gap from the ruler's edge to the bolt hole there. I got this one tacked where it sat, and then on this side there's quite a lot of slop in that rubber bush, and this side, focus you. As you can see, we've got the same now on this side, but this side was dropped down a little bit, not much, probably like 2 mm. I basically just levered it up and then tacked it in place and got it so that it's so that all the holes are basically running nice and level through the car. So I can remove these now. I'll just do them one at a time, take one side off, draw up this bracket and get that side in, and just by doing it one at a time it kind of makes sure everything stays where it's supposed to be. Did anyone spot the issue I'm about to have? Anybody? I've just tacked the subframe in place, now I can't get this out. I have a fix. So we're just going to have like an L bracket now with 2 holes in it, weld it on, jobs are good. So you're allowed to put extra mounts from the subframe to the body. So I'm going to go through this beam at the back here and fix to the roll cage, the tube that's running across here. So I've made these little wedge pieces which will sit and get welded under there. basically to the cage, and then I'll drill through that hole all the way through, and then that'll give me my point to fix to on the other side. I've welded those little tabs in, and then you can see I've drilled all the way through all 3 layers, and this is where I've come out, that hole there and that hole there. Alright, got these little tubes welded in place, and they go all the way through to those brackets, and obviously it still needs to be welded on this side. I've cut that bolt off that the original bush would be bolted to. This will sit over that. That can be bolted in place. It's a little bit tight to where the bolts need to go through, so I'll tack that in place, take that bit back off, weld it on this back edge, and then put it back on. If I'd have done a folded piece, you wouldn't have got these bolts in very easily, so just easier to do it in two pieces, and so I've got a bit of clearance for the bolts. So as you can see there, it's real tight to those bolts, so a folded bracket, you just wouldn't have got them in. So I'm going to weld along the back edge of that, and then weld it on once I've welded that back bit in there. So I got the subframe off, and everything fully welded. solid. Well, that's another job ticked off the list. It's had some major surgery now. Still got a big long list of stuff to get on with, but we're getting there. So it's coming along nicely, and let me know what you prefer video wise. I've been doing quite a few of the voiceover style videos and people seem to like them. So the voiceover videos are a little bit easier to film but take longer to edit because you have to do the voiceover, whereas the videos like this where I talk as I'm working are a bit more difficult to film because obviously you have to talk to a camera, but they are easier to edit. So it doesn't really make a lot of difference which way I do it, but both of them you have to put up with my monotone voice. Just one of them you just don't have to look in my face, so whichever you prefer. So the competition to win a welder finishes on Saturday the 5th, so I'll post the winner up on my Instagram and Facebook, so keep an eye out on that if you've entered it. I think there's 465 tickets sold at the moment. So you can still get yourself a ticket if you're interested in that. Details to that are on my website, ohfab.com. That's going to be it for this one. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one.